Hello guys, Cell here and you're welcome to Cell tutorial. In this video, we are going to look at the new update on our environmental monitoring tool. So the environmental monitoring tool has been designed to help users to effectively track and manage the environmental aspects of their operations in order to reduce the impact on the environment. At the end of the day, users are able to generate adequate reports, which they can actually use for their annual environmental reporting. Now, annual environmental reporting is part of the compliance obligations from the EPA. And you know that EPA would usually require organizations to demonstrate their commitment to the environment through, waste management, reducing CO2 emissions, performing effluent quality analysis to keep wastewater discharges within acceptable threshold, and keeping ambient noise and air quality within permissible exposure limits. So these are usually the compliance requirements from the EPA. So this template will actually help you to do just that. The template is best for environmental practitioners and safety professionals who have responsibility for the environment. So without wasting time, let's get straight into the features. Now, this is a table of contents like all our templates. This is where you can actually navigate within the workbook without having to use the tabs in here. Now, at a glance, for those of you who are quite familiar with this template, you can see that we've introduced a few changes so that are quite obvious on the table of contents. All right, so it used to be just environmental dashboard, but now we've introduced noise and air quality monitoring dashboard. We've introduced utility consumption dashboard, and we have all these other ones in there. Again, we've separated the parameters for environmental monitoring onto various sheets, and again we've done the same for the utility consumption. All right, so we've categorized them under the subcategories of water consumption, electricity consumption, and fuel consumption. All right, so this is where you can actually navigate in the workbook. Over here is the approved list. So the approved list is where you provide your list of companies, the locations of the operations, and the environmental aspects that you have identified. Usually you'll be using the aspect identification register, which is a tool we have. We'll be doing a video on that in due time, but that will help you to identify all your environmental aspects that constitute a legal requirement. All right, and you have to list all of them here because they have the potential to impact on the environment and damage it. So it is important that you identify all of them and list all of them here. Now, this list is likely to extend further, so you have the option to actually increase or extend the rules within the table so you can accommodate as many environmental aspects as possible. Now, the source data is the main working area, so this is where you'll be working most of the time. And within the source data, we've actually categorize them under various sections. So we have waste management, we have the utility consumptions under the 3 subcategories. We also have the effluent quality analysis over here, and then again we have the environmental quality monitoring. All right, so the environmental quality monitoring are based on the threshold that is set by the EPA for total suspended particles, particulate matter, 10 level, noise level, nitrogen oxide, sulfur oxide, and again for effluent quality analysis, that is also based on the threshold and the parameters that are usually set by the EPA. And again over here, which is utility consumption, you're also tracking CO2 emissions for electricity and then for fuel as well. And then over here, you're actually managing the waste based on the 3R. All right, so the 3R is the fact that you are reducing the waste first and foremost, you are reusing the waste, you are recycling the waste before you transfer the remaining to the landfill. And then again, over here, that's where you demonstrate that you do waste segregation. All right, so this is actually the source data. All right, so now over here is the dashboard, and as you can see, the dashboard comprises all the the 4 sections that we've indicated in the source data. So you have the environmental monitoring based on all the parameters. So these are all the parameters for environmental monitoring. You have utility consumption or energy usage. You can actually change it if you want, and that is also based on all the 3 parameters or the 3 subcategories. And then again, you have the waste generated, and that is based on the 5 or the 6 categories of waste that we've provided. And then there's a section on the CO2 emission, all right, from fuel and electricity. So this is actually the comprehensive environmental dashboard that we had initially. All right, now you have the timeline to actually drill down to various time frames, and then if you extend over multiple years, you can actually select it over here. Now we've introduced another dashboard, which is the noise and air quality monitoring. So that is actually the the section, just the section alone, we've decided to put it on a dashboard so that to give you a better perspective, to compare and contrast. Because over here it's just a drop down where you actually select and you don't see the other one. But over here you can actually compare and contrast and see which one you are exceeding, which one of the parameters you are actually exceeding the threshold that has been set by the EPA. So we have the total suspended particulate matter, ambient noise, ambient sulfur oxide, and nitrogen oxide. So this is actually to ensure that the quality of air is suitable at the workplace and is good for human, existence, basically, because you're not supposed to go beyond the permissible exposure limits, basically. All right. So again, the utility consumption, we've also created a dashboard for it, and that's why the water consumption, you have to set your own target, and the target you actually set it, over here. So all the top sections are where you actually set the target. All right. So currently we've set about 50 liters. That's just a dummy data. You probably have to enter a lot more, about 3,000 liters of water, perhaps in a month or whichever time frame that you keep reporting. So basically, that's what you have there. You are comparing your monthly consumption of water, electricity, and fuel against the threshold or the target that you'll be setting. Now, regarding effluent quality monitoring, basically all the parameters have been listed here, and these are the monthly, figures that you're getting at the end of every, monitoring activity. All right, and we've decided to categorize the individual environmental quality monitoring on separate sheets. So as you can see, we have the total suspended particles here, comparing the EPA standard against the values that you'll be getting at the end of the month, and then again, so these are all based on average values here. All right, so that is how exciting this template is. You're actually able to generate all these reports which you can use for your annual environmental reporting. Right, so when you're putting together an annual environmental report, usually you have a template from the EPA that tells you all the various sections you need to fill, and every section that has to do with waste management, you have graphs to use. Section that has to do with how you segregate the way, you have graphs to use. Section that has to do with your waste water consumption, electricity, or utility consumption, basically you have all these graphs that you can use. All right, so that makes this template very, very exciting and makes life much easier. So let's head straight to the source data and let's actually put the data in perspective. All right, so just take note, the approved list is where you actually, they're going to be showing in here as a drop down list. So just see, take notes, this is the company and that is coming from the approved list. If you try to type a different company, it's going to give you an error that you cannot do that unless you actually update it right here. All right, and again, as and when you are recording the waste, you need to provide the location where the waste is being generated, and you need to provide the environmental aspect that that is the waste that you've generated. All right, now it is important that you treat your waste, and that is waste management. You are treating the waste based on the 3R, or based on the fact that you are segregating the waste. All right, all of these are all important. You get it. So this is based on a simple analogy that you have a sole goal to reduce your waste. So you've been making sure that people are not generating much waste and all. So once the waste have been generated, you are terming that as reduced waste. So you put a reduced figure here, and then again you have to indicate what you do with the waste. Do you recycle all of them? Do you actually reuse all of them, or do you transfer everything to the landfill? All right. At the end of the day, the goal is that there should be no waste remaining. So let's take this, let's take our time and go through this. Now we've generated 300 kg of waste. All right, engine oil. All right, engine oil. So basically engine oil. But what did you do with the engine oil? We reused 50 of them. It tells us we have 250 remaining. We then recycled maybe 100. All right, and then we took the rest to the landfill, 150. So there you have it. We've been able to demonstrate what we did with this waste. We reused some, we recycled some, we transferred some to the landfill. And what kind of waste is it? In terms of waste segregation, that is going to be hazardous liquid waste. All right, so let's put it hazardous liquid waste. There you have it. So at the end of the day, you're supposed to make sure you're having 0 over here and 0 over here. If for any reason you only segregated 50 of it, then it's going to tell you you did not segregate 250 of the waste. All right, so you need to make sure that you are treating all of them, or you are demonstrating how you segregated them. And then assuming you have to segregate them under various sections. Then you're going to have like this, and at the end of the day, you want to make sure that they are actually zero, all right, or everything is zero basically. The same thing with wastewater consumption, water consumption, fuel consumption, electricity consumption. Just set your target here, and this is going to populate automatically. Once you delete this, it populates automatically. It's get removed automatically. Once you provide a parameter, it's going to populate automatically, and you're going to now have to provide your water consumption at the end of the month. All right. The same applies to fuel, and then again, you should have your system of tracking CO2 emission from fuel. Once you have the values, provide them there. And the same thing applies to electricity consumption. Then over here, you set all these parameters based on what you've been able to gather from the EPA, and then you do your effluent quality analysis. Whatever value you get, you could average them at the end of the month. You compare it against EPA standard, or you want to enter them as and when you record them to compare and contrast. All right, and then you do the same thing for your environmental quality monitoring. So once you have data in there, all right, what you need to do next is that you need to go to the data tab on the menu and you click on refresh all. All right, so the refresh all will update the entire workbook and everything within the report or within the template. All right, so that's just about it, guys. I hope you find this tutorial very, very insightful. In case you're interested in this template, all you need to do is just head over to www.shexel.com. You scroll all the way to the middle section of the home page, and then you locate environmental monitoring right there. All right, so you click on it. It's going to take you to the product page where you would see all the pictures and a bit of text about the templates. All right, now we've introduced a change log. So as you can see, we introduced this new update on the 17th of October. Right, so you click on the download file and it takes you to the download page where you can actually check out. All right, another simple process is just come here, locate price list, and do a quick search. All right, so the price list has all our prices, so you can actually, you see our list of prices, and this way you can do a quick search. You just enter environment, and it's gonna pop up straight away. All right, and then over here you can click to take you to the download page. All right, so the download page is here. Eventually we found it, and you have to scroll down and then check out. When you check out, it takes you to the checkout page, and you have to provide your name and email address, and that is how you get instant access to the template. So the template will be delivered to you instantly on the website. A copy will be sent to your email address, and then again, if you create an account, you store a copy in your account permanently for future access. All right, so thank you all for your attention, and meet again soon in another video. Bye for now.